Bishop Sheen today with Allan Smith here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. And it's time once again for Bishop Sheen today. And with the 4th of July just literally around the corner, Allan Smith is here to unpack a bold and beautiful message from the Venerable Fulton Sheen, his Declaration of Dependence. I love that phrase. But welcome back, Allan.
Hey, good morning, Keith. It's always great to be here. And again, I want to just join you in your celebrations. It's we don't celebrate enough. We're in this busy world, and it was beautiful that Debbie and Adam were talking about these beautiful milestones of our baptismal day, our wedding day, our confirmation day. Like, these are beautiful days. And of course, as Americans, we celebrate Independence Day. And but I think Fulton Sheen wanted to remind us, remember, don't try to be independent from God. That, and I reiterate that, don't try to live your life without God. You need God. And of course, we go back in history, and there's moments where we had to, be brave and, fight for something. And of course, we've seen America participate in world wars. And it was during the Second World War. The year was 1941. And America was getting ready to go and to join in the Second World War. Of course, other countries had joined earlier and, at the beginning of the war in 1939. But in 1941, America was ready to send their soldiers to go fight in Europe. And I think Fulton Sheen, knowing that people needed a spiritual message, they needed clarity to understand, why are we going to war? What's at stake? He really wanted to say, okay, I'll give you a slogan. I'll give you a theme. And so we took that very important document, the Declaration of Independence, and said, okay, I'll put a Catholic spin on it and title his book, The Declaration of Dependence. Because again, it's that idea. Remember, you have to go back to God. You need God. And if you don't do that, what is freedom? You're not free. You're a slave to the devil and his many traps. And so it got us thinking, saying, yeah, all of my rights, the rights of freedom that I have, come from God. So if I want to have these rights and freedoms, I need God. So we need to depend on him. And so I think that's what we forget sometimes. We say, I don't need God. I got my money. I got I got my friends. I got whatever you got. But you need God. You need God. So, I mean, that's how I want to start today, of course, is just really just tuning into this phrase. It's a declaration of dependence and saying, I'm happy that I need God. I will want to have God. They may say your religion's a crutch. Your faith is something you lean on. Yes, absolutely. I'm nothing without God. I need God. So I don't know, Keith, what do you think?
I think as an American, it's a challenge, I would say, with the word dependence, because obviously we're ingrained in our blood is like independence from like the king and everything like that. Whereas what we're talking about now is like, well, no, we need that dependence of God. And so it's really interesting kind of getting that perspective and your perspective as well.
Yeah. I think what Fulton Sheen does so well is he says, let's open up our history books, because history will teach us so many things. Now, we all learn in school, the Declaration of Independence, the different chapters, what's the contents, what the history was, why it was written. We all learn these things in school. But Fulton Sheen would say now, but what have we learned in life? And this is the thing. And he starts the book off when he penned the Declaration of Dependence in 1941. He starts it with a chapter titled The Revolutionary Tempo. And he says, remember, revolutions have swept entire nations and countries. And again, they have three basic elements to them. They're irrational, they're violent, and they're atheistic. And I think he was trying to say to America, be careful. When you start to see this, things are falling apart. And yet that's what we see. People have become irrational.
Mhm.
People have become violent. And sadly, people have become atheistic in nature. And I think this is where Fulton Sheen wants to pull us back and say, okay, how do we get that way? How do we get to this insanity? We try to live our life without God. And that's the crux again. You keep trying, every time you try to live your life without God, you become anti God. You have your
Mm.
own religion, your own gods that you worship. You become violent. I'll take this, I'll take that. I can't get my way, I'll use violence. And of course, it's the irrational thought. This is one thing that really, I think, upsets so many people is we think, is that person thinking right? It's like, it's just this, it's just a craziness. But again, Fulton Sheen wants to warn us to say, let's look at our history books. Let's see how nations fell and not fall into that. And that's so
Mm.
important. So, again, it's this idea of asking the question too, what are we fighting for? We're going to wave the flag. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to celebrate, our culture and our country. Uh, but again, at the end of the day, if someone says, "I want to take that away from you," um, you'd say, "Well, what do I really want to fight for? Do I want to fight for my country? Do I want to fight for my faith?" And I think that's important to say, what are you willing to die for? What sacrifice do you want to make, and what's really important to you? I think
Mm.
sometimes we're casual in our patriotism. We all say, "Oh, I'm patriotic. I love my country." Well, are they just words and sentiments, or would you be willing to fight for those? Sometimes, like I say, a white martyrdom, where you're going to take a little bit of a teasing or shaming, but still, again, willing to risk something. But again, ask yourself that question. What would I be willing to fight for? And I think that's what Fulton Sheen was doing. He was saying the same thing. What are you want to fight for? And again, I want to fight for the faith. I know, Keith, you want to fight for the faith.
Uh,
We want to fight for what is right and just. So, again, that's one thing I thought, I don't know if you're thinking certain
yeah,
things. I know I say these things, I recite Fulton Sheen, and again, it just inspires the heart. So,
it
go
certainly
ahead.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm curious because I know you're in Canada, right? You live in Canada. Does kind of the Fourth of July bleed in kind of to Canada? Like, and then I'm assuming you also have your own celebration of your country, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we celebrate Canada Day on July the 1st.
Oh,
We've already had our fireworks. We've celebrated anniversaries, and again, the whole country takes a day to just enjoy, and we try to extend it into a weekend if we can. But it kind of fell on a Tuesday, and so it was one of those hard holidays to extend the weekend. But still, we celebrate it. So we like to say we're just always, a little bit ahead in the sense that we thought, well, the Americans are going to have a big party. They've got 300 plus million, and we don't have that many. So let's have our party first. So we celebrate our great celebration on July the 1st, Canada Day. And you, of course, celebrate July 4th.
right.
But again, you do it right. We admire the Americans and your vigor and your zest for that celebration. The flags come out. It really is. So kudos to you, and kudos
Oh,
to my American friends. You show how to do patriotism, and I think Fulton Sheen was a true patriot. I
yes.
think when we think of his titles, we think of him as servant of all, but we think of him as a great preacher and teacher. But he was known as a patriot. He loved America. He loved America and everything about America, the good especially. But still, he just knew that, hey, I want to be that witness to the faith, to America, to say, we can celebrate our great accomplishments because God helped us. We didn't do it by ourselves. Okay. So give
Mm,
God the credit. And if there's anything I can leave you with today, is remember Let's give God the credit. Let's include him. Let's admit I'm nothing without him. I need him. I need God. And so let's do that. And let's celebrate God. I think this is the thing. Sometimes we can celebrate our country and everything 4th of July and the
Right.
fireworks. But what about faith? What about
Mhm.
prayers of thanksgiving? What about this? Like, let's not forget that. So let's, again, remember God.
Right.
Remember, again, the dedication of who sacrificed over the years to make America great. And
Mhm.
I tell you, again, we need God. So it's a declaration of dependence. Let's not be afraid to shout that from the rooftops.
Well said. So, real quick, for those out there that are Catholic, and I guess what kind of recommendations would you say for those out there to celebrate it in a Catholic manner? Would it be just going to mass, or what would that look like? Do you think?
Yeah, go to mass. Again, double down on your what I call your public witness. Don't be afraid to make the sign of the cross when you sit down at a restaurant and have a meal. Don't be afraid to have your rosary beads in your pocket. So when you pull out your spare change, they see your rosary beads. Like, let's celebrate all that is Catholic and not be ashamed. And that's the key. Never be ashamed, because of that
Mm,
scripture that we read. If you you basically deny me here, I'll deny you later.
yeah.
Be proud of me, and I'll be proud of you. And so let's celebrate, but let's celebrate our faith and not be afraid to witness out in public. So there you go.
Mm, love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this declaration of dependence, especially towards God. For those out there wanting more of Allan Smith, there's a couple of websites. They are in the show notes, but for those listening on the radio, bishopsheentoday.com and holyfacemiracle.com. Make sure to check those websites out. And thank you once again, Allan. But that wraps up the first hour of Morning Joy, where truth matters. Make sure to follow us on social media, by the way. Just search Morning Joy Radio or GRN Online, the network behind this production. Hey, if you're staying with us, hang tight, because coming up, we're going to be talking about Pope Leo XIV. Might be one of the most quietly active popes we've had in decades. From Castel Gandolfo to Peru, from Jonathan Rumi to the Eastern Orthodox, he's been everywhere. And we're going to talk and break down all of this on the second hour. So if you're able to stick around, keep it locked here on Morning Joy, where truth matters. If you are heading out for the day, God bless. Make it a joyful Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll be back after this quick coffee break.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.